Hey everybody, we are back. We are live. It is another This Week in Pro Wrestling. I'm Mike Sandoval. Jeffrey, introduce yourself.
Once again, it is the J to the E to the double F free. I am Jeffrey Harris, and I'm happy to be here with you, Mike. Thank you.
Well, let's get down to it because it looks like another week
Another
of
wild week in pro wrestling.
exactly. And we're starting off with Sin Cara's comments about the WWE and how they treat their Latin wrestlers. Tell us a little bit about this because you're the one who brought that story to me and to my
Okay, so Cinta de Oro, who also wrestled in WWE as the second Sin Cara, recently spoke to Inside the Ropes and said he was saddened by the lack of Mexican representation at WrestleMania. This was something that Andrade also talked about right before WrestleMania weekend, how there was absolutely no Mexican representation at WrestleMania 37. So, obviously, as a Mexican, I'm obviously a little saddened because of the situation, because I understand that there's a lot of great talent. There are great wrestlers out there that and they haven't gotten those opportunities. Um, he was asked about Andrade talking about there was not one Mexican wrestler at WrestleMania. Um, and Andrade talking about more talent to sit in the locker room. And then Cinto de Oro, Sin Cara said it's true. I mean, what? Now they're sitting now they're saying that they go to Mexico and get more talent for what? Sitting in catering, doing the same thing, putting us on the side just because you can pay us. You want to keep us not achieving our dreams, and that's why he left. That was the main thing. Before I left, I spoke with some of the guys about a lot of them decided to stay, which is fine. I understand that economically. You get your check every week and you have that stability economically, but they're not happy. I'm pretty sure Kalisto is not happy. Kalisto, who just got released 1 week ago. um, Grand Metalik, all those guys are not happy, but they don't want to say anything, and I don't know why. I can say it now. I was there. I lived it. I know what it feels like, and I know what it means. It's really tough, and it sucks. So, and then what else did he say? The main Latino star at WrestleMania was Bad Bunny, and he's not even a wrestler. Great for him, right? He did an amazing job, and that was awesome. But if I was a performer, if I was a wrestler, a Mexican wrestler, a Latino wrestler, and I'm not there, then I would have been upset, really upset about it, because I've been there. I've been busting my butt, and I've been doing everything to make sure that I get an opportunity, and then you don't get it. It's tough, man. It's tough. And then you realize they don't care about Latinos or Mexicans because simply they don't know how to, no matter how much they say, if they want to do this, why is that? Why don't you even have a star, a Mexican star in WrestleMania? Not even one, not one. So, wow. Some strong words from Sin Cara, Cinto
yes,
de Oro.
and I think I want to make a shirt that says WWE catering.
I mean, I think he makes valid points, but it's not just Mexican wrestlers. It's a
No.
lot of wrestlers that have this problem. But WWE has talked openly about wanting to go, open up that Mexican fan base and opening up performance centers in in Mexico, setting up a performance center there, doing more events there. Obviously things have slowed down from the pandemic, but do you have any other thoughts on what Sin Cara had to say?
Yeah, I agree. It's more than just Mexican wrestlers. I think a lot of wrestlers have been in that situation lately, and it really does stem from them not doing live performances. As our next topic, what we'll go into, kind of shows they've gotten hurt from live performances, and and I think that's the reason why they were stuck in catering. I really don't. I think Sin Cara has a point though, because if you're going to go
Yeah.
into bring talent from another country, you better use them because if not, then once their contracts are up, they're going to leave and they're going to go somewhere else.
They had Andrade, they were using him for a while,
Hmm.
and they stopped using him.
Yep.
And then they have Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio on SmackDown, and they're on TV regularly, but they're not really in any major feuds or angles right now. And I mean, look, Mysterio's not a young man anymore. Like, how much time does he really have left in the business?
Exactly. And you have Damian Priest, who's Latino from Puerto Rico, who's on Raw.
Right.
And it's like, and that's pretty much it. There really isn't anybody else
And
to
Bad
go
Bunny,
for.
but he was
But
talking
he's
about
done.
Bad.
Yeah, but Bad Bunny's done. He's
But
getting ready for his
right.
concert tour next year,
But
which was got a
Bad
good push
Bunny
from the
did a good job, but he's a hip hop star. He's not a wrestler. So I do want to credit Bad Bunny because he clearly worked hard and he had a good showing for himself at WrestleMania. But the guys who are there day in, day out and waiting for that opportunity, they're just not getting it. Where is Angel Garza at this point anymore?
exactly. I think we did see on Monday, was it, yeah, we saw on Monday we did see what's it, Angelico, is that who his name is? He came out,
Humberto Carrillo?
yeah, he's part of the Garza family who came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came out and we saw him get his butt kicked pretty much just to
Oh,
be
by
there.
Sheamus. Yeah, he got attacked
Yeah,
by Sheamus.
by Sheamus. I don't know if it's gonna go anywhere. I'm hoping it does, because that kind of sucks if he just comes out just to get beat up and it doesn't go anywhere.
So Sheamus is doing that open challenge on Raw, and I don't know if that's gonna start a feud between those two, but I guess we'll see.
It's
But
gonna be a wait and see.
it
But
looked like it looked like Carrillo was playing the sacrificial lamb, is what it
yes,
seemed like.
yes, that's what it looked like, and I'm hoping that it does develop into more, because if it doesn't, that really sucks that you just throw a guy out there just to get beat up and then you won't see him again for a couple weeks.
And then you do have Santos Escobar, but he's on NXT right now
Right. So
as part of the
that's,
cruiserweight division.
yeah, I consider that almost like a different show. It
And
is a different show, a different promotion type of ideal. So I kind of leave that one out.
he did mention Kalisto, who
Hmm.
got who was released 1 week ago. We were talking about that last week, and
Yeah,
so I imagine this interview with Inside the Ropes was recorded probably right before those releases. So,
I
man,
think it.
what was that?
I think it was recorded before the releases.
Hmm.
I don't think it was done afterwards.
But if you're in the boat that Sin Cara is talking about, you can if you can't get released, if you want to get released, you can always just wait out and you can leave and you can go elsewhere and try to make a name for yourself elsewhere because some Latino and some Mexican stars have done that and they've made it work. And look
Yep.
at Dragon Lee,
Hmm.
Rush.
Yep.
They're dominating in Ring of Honor. So you can
Yeah.
get work if you're a wrestler.
The
Um,
possibilities are there. I
yeah.
mean, there's, even with Impact. Impact is doing some good things. Ring of Honor is
Oh
doing good
yeah.
things. New Japan's doing good things. NWA is really featuring some great talent of all types, all creeds, cultures, and everything like that. So I mean, the possibilities are there. It's just a matter of making the effort, I guess, to go out and hopefully get signed.
So after our show last week, we had this big announcement from Impact Wrestling. It even got reported on ESPN. Mauro Ranello, the former SmackDown play-by-play announcer, the former NXT play-by-play announcer, will be coming to Impact Wrestling specifically to call Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann, which is this weekend on pay-per-view for Impact Wrestling Rebellion. And I imagine that's because Kenny Omega's from Canada. Mauro is also Canadian, and Mauro's a big deal now. He does those big boxing fights, the Floyd Mayweather fights. So he's a busy man. So this is a pretty huge deal for Impact to have Mauro on their card, especially considering his past experience with WWE.
Yeah, I agree. I like him as an announcer. I like him 100 times better than Pat McAfee is right now on SmackDown, because he's exciting. He knows how to color. He knows how to put some color into his commentary. I'm looking forward to this match this weekend because of Morrow being a part of it. I mean,
And not
who
only
knows?
that, it's a big crossover promotional. It's Impact versus AEW too.
Exactly. And when you have a good announcer, and I don't know if as an audience member, when you have a good announcer, it makes it even more fun, and it really pulls into it. At NXT, Morrow was literally the voice of NXT for me. And this new announcing team is good, but it isn't like him. There's something missing, and I think you need more announcers like him.
So
Um,
Morrow had actually left NXT last August. He had stayed on in NXT to do play by play for a while, but I think I like this because it's sort of like a special event,
mhm.
and it sort of adds to the unique sort of special factor of this as sort of a very one-off kind of one of a kind match. So they're bringing in, one of the most experienced, best announcers in the business right now to have him call the match, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big win for Impact and AEW for what's going to happen for this weekend.
I remember back in the day they had like a Legends match in WCW at like Slamboree, and they had. Do you remember Gordon Soley,
Yeah.
old school announcer from back in the day?
Hmm.
So it was Tully Blanchard, a Legends match. Uh, who was it? And Gordon Soley came in as like the guest announcer for the match. So that's kind of what this reminds. It's not a Legends match, but just like I like the idea of having a guest play-by-play announcer
Yeah, I
to call
agree.
the. Okay, it was Terry Funk versus Tully Blanchard with Gordon Soley, and Gordon Soley was he was a classic announcer back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so we also CM Punk. I thought this was fascinating what CM Punk had to say about wrestling. So CM Punk did an interview with Digital Spy, and he was actually asked about pro wrestling. Punk seems to be more open about pro wrestling these days than he was when he was trying to do the UFC MMA thing. Do you think
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
strange?
No, I think because the MMA thing for CM Punk, I think is starting to come to an end. I think the whole idea is coming to an end, even though at his age and coming back to wrestling. But I think wrestling will allow you to be able to work a lot longer than the MMA.
Okay,
I
so
think.
here's the quote from Digital Spy. So Will Ospreay, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion of New Japan Pro Wrestling, he had a press conference right after he won the title, and he said, "I want to face CM Punk. I want to face Drew McIntyre, WWE main eventer, of course." But then, so they asked CM Punk about Will Ospreay by Digital Spy, and he said, "I don't want to give people false hope in answering Ospreay, but he's for sure somebody that I've never wrestled before that interests me a lot more than, I guess, the corporate side of professional wrestling nowadays. New and different things are going to interest me more than doing the same old, same old. I always need new goals. I don't know. Let's see if he has it at the end of the summer and then ask me the question again." Now, he did say, "I don't want to get anyone's hopes up," but did you hear a no there, Mike?
I hear no, no. So I personally, I think this is the best move for him if he does go to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and this is the way he comes back, because what it really boosts Jericho's stock after leaving WWE to go to New Japan.
Hmm.
And I think I could see the same thing with CM Punk. If he went to New Japan with the Will Osprey, start a good rivalry with him, I think it would be a big, big, big pop.
Now, just to be clear, no announcement,
Yeah,
there's no rumor, but like he was asked point blank about this, and he never said like I wouldn't do it.
yeah,
So CM Punk is 42 years old, but I think he's very smart. He's keeping his options open.
yeah.
He knows he knows he can pretty much write his own check. If he does, he could do a few more matches, and he could do a match with Will Ospreay at the Tokyo Dome. And would that not be huge? Would that not do huge business?
That would be international pay-per-view numbers that we haven't seen in a long time.
Um,
I could just guarantee that.
I mean, this pandemic is global. It's affected New Japan too.
Mhm.
And New Japan in the past has shown they're willing to open up the coffers for that international talent. Look what they did with Jericho. They did all those big matches with Jericho in New Japan, title matches, and he worked with all the top guys and all the main eventers
Mhm.
in New Japan, and they did big business at the Tokyo Dome, and it also helped their subscriptions for New Japan World.
Yeah.
They would probably have to pay. I don't know, I don't know what CM Punk's asking price would be, but he sounds more open to working like Will Ospreay than Triple H. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think after everything with WWE, I think New Japan would be the best avenue for him.
CM Punk in the main event at the Tokyo Dome for the first time. Um, and if Japan is fully back open by that point, early January, 2022, they could definitely fill the Tokyo Dome back up for CM Punk versus Osprey.
Oh yeah, it would be quick. The sales would be quick. They'll be having a huge increase in subscriptions because I think a lot of people here in the US are really they really do want to see CM Punk back in the ring.
Right.
There's a lot of word, a lot of people are talking about it, and I think it would be a really big pop and a great way. I think it's the best way for CM Punk to come back is to do New Japan.
Because think about that. How many years ago did Punk retire from wrestling? Did he walk? He walked away. How many years has it been?
7,
It's been
8?
7 years.
It's
So
been some time.
so it's been so that's almost a decade, Mike.
Mhm.
And here we are 7 years later, and we're still whining about CM Punk. What does that tell you?
Hey, he still has a lot of pop. He's still
He's
interesting.
still relevant.
I was
People want to
lucky,
see Punk back in the
yeah,
ring.
and I was lucky to meet him at the ArcLight Theater because he was
Ooh.
hanging out with one of the guys from Newfound Glory during the time
Mm-hmm.
when they were all going to meet into a movie. And dude, this guy is like he's thin, but he's friggin' cut. He doesn't look like your normal wrestler, and I think that's where his body style, the way he works, fits in really good to today's wrestling world.
Punk is he was an iconoclast. He marches to the beat of his own drum. He doesn't want to do he doesn't he's a great wrestler, but he doesn't do things he's not, how do I want to say this? He does things his own way.
Mhm.
And I think this something like this would go along with sort of Punk kind of doing things the way he wants to do it. Um and that kind of counterculture kind of, I don't want to say anti-corporate or mainstream, but he's always sort of been like this. I'm going to do things my way, the way I want to do them, and I feel like this will be right up his alley.
Yeah,
And I
and I
think yeah,
And
go
I
ahead.
think I think him and AJ Lee, his wife, have the same mentality. Like
Yeah,
we're gonna do things strategically. We're gonna do things right. Just like she's involved in the writing of a new film that
that
she's going
47,
into.
the 47 Ronin.
Yeah,
She's
she's
co-writing
involved
that
with
movie.
that with she's co-writing that, and then CM Punk has that same they both have that same mentality to be able to go, hey, if I do decide to go back, it's going to be under my terms. I'm going to choose the right path for me and my career.
And I just want to tell New Japan, like, if there's ever a time to write someone a blank check and overspend, it would be to get CM Punk inside the ring at the Tokyo Dome. Like
Absolutely.
that would be something you break the bank over,
Mhm.
because if you can beat WWE to the punch on that, like, it would be crazy.
Yeah. And one thing I want to ask you, I want to pick your brain about this,
Okay.
especially with New Japan Pro Wrestling. You
Yes.
ever see them? I mean, they've been coming into the United States a lot more
Yes.
than they ever had over the last than the past
It,
decade.
it slow it slowed down, one
Mhm.
because of they lost the
Yeah.
Access TV, and two, the pandemic. But go ahead.
Yeah. Do you think they're gonna make a major play once the pandemic is up and people start going out to events again?
It's hard for me to say because this pandemic has sort of made everything so hazy for me. Like, I want to get on the other side of this, where hopefully at some point we're fully out of this and we're fully past this. I think when I look at MLW, MLW, Major League Wrestling, they just signed a TV deal with Vice TV.
Yeah.
So Vice TV is sort of expanding now, and they're trying to get live wrestling and live content with pro wrestling.
Yeah. Well, Vice has the
So,
Disney money now, so
and other news outlets reported that New Japan turned down a TV deal with Vice TV, and MLW took it instead.
mhm,
I think New Japan, what I see them doing is they're biding their time to wait out this pandemic and see what's going to happen after the pandemic is over and see if they can get some sort of either major television deal or something new going in terms of events or television. It's just that this pandemic just halted everything
yeah.
in terms of event. I was going to some of those New Japan events in Southern California and Long Beach
That one,
before.
that one with the Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks at
Were
the
we both
Pyramid in
there?
Long Beach.
I
I
was at
was
that
not
event.
there. I saw it on TV.
Okay.
That was such a great match.
Yeah, I was there for that one. I was there for this. I mean, and this was sort of what got AEW going,
Mhm.
was having those Western wrestlers at those New Japan and the USA cards because Tony Khan was going to those events, and those sort of helped spark the interest in him starting AEW. So I think it's possible. I think it's possible. It's hard for me to say until this pandemic is well and truly over. So,
Yeah,
so I mean, because we're still in the pandemic over a year later. So I
exactly.
we thought that. Remember when we thought this was going to be 2 weeks?
Yeah. Then we thought 3 months, and now luckily we've
We
seen
were
the
so
light.
naive back then.
Exactly, but I could hardly wait till we get to go see pro wrestling in person again. I'm hoping it's
Right,
sooner rather than later. But going
right.
back into that pandemic, I got to bring up this because today WWE had their investor call, their quarterly earnings, and I don't know if you took a look at this. I
I
sent you the
did.
Business Wire, and their live event point five, which is like 500,000 when you go by millions, was in their earnings breakdown. And
Point
that,
$500,000.
yeah, because everything was ranked in millions and it's a point five, so that's 500,000, which
Yeah.
shows that WrestleMania input. But it was just crazy their net revenue from just even in media alone, 256.6 million in 2020. This past quarter, 242 million. 242 million. It is nuts. They actually lost in more their hit where their loss hit them was in those live events. It was 17.5 million in 2020 to 500,000 in 2021.
Okay. Because they still did have some live events last year.
Yeah, because they had everything up to March,
Right.
I believe. So they were able to make up for those, but they took a hit overall from first quarter last year to this quarter of first year.
I
There's
wonder
yeah,
I wonder if I wonder though if they're just gonna get rid of house shows, the non-televised events entirely, other than maybe international touring
mhm.
when they start touring again.
It's going to be interesting to see because I'm not sure if they are or not. But I could tell you one thing: their consumer products really did help them as well. 21 million this first quarter to last quarter. Well, the same quarter last year in 2020, only 16.9 million.
Okay, and here's the other. There was a decrease in this quarter in revenue of 9%, a decrease of 27.5 million for a total quarterly revenue of 263.5 million. um, reflecting the absence of ticketed live events and a large scale international event, partially offset by the upfront revenue recognition related to the delivery of certain WWE network intellectual property rights. I assume that means the
Yeah.
Peacock deal probably.
Hmm.
So the Peacock deal is $200 million a year, and they're also supposed to be getting 200 million from Fox a year. And I think that deal is like another $1 billion TV deal, and that I think that one runs through, I want to say 2023.
Yeah.
So a couple more years. Um, I just don't know how they're making so much money from those TV rights from Peacock and Fox that they have to cut people for budget cuts, you know?
Yeah. And they have, I believe they said they had 900 employees.
Okay,
At
so
least the last time I checked, they
so there
said.
was an earnings call today as well.
Hmm.
So um, let's see. There was something interesting in the earnings call I wanted to touch on.
Hmm.
So Nick Khan, the company president, was asked about ratings and if there's anything they want to do in terms of storyline and talent at the front to re-energize things. 411 Mania reports Khan said they look at ratings the way buyers do, a combination of linear, streaming, everything. He said their numbers are robust and said it's a challenge in linear content for everyone as eyeballs are going away from it compared to other methods. They've seen increases as they've launched new methods and said that the return of fans will help them in a big way, which they're yearning for. So nothing about storylines or re-energizing storylines or talent on the roster. It's all about getting live fans back. When will live fans even be able to return, Mike? I mean, come on here.
Realistically, seeing how Major League Baseball is allowing fans in a spaced setting,
Okay.
I'm thinking we're not going to see people. Oh yeah, the Staples Center opened up too, and they started allowing fans into arenas, and but you can't eat inside where your seat
Okay.
is. I am not saying. I'm saying we're not going to be able to see live fans in the stadium until probably late fall of this year. What do you think?
That that sounds I mean that sounds optimistic because I think a lot of people are going to wait and see how the UFC does. The UFC has an event in Florida this weekend that's fully sold out, is my understanding, for Kamaru Usman versus George Masvidal. And I think there's going to be another event next month in Texas that's also going to be sold out or close to full. I think Texas is fully open and so is Florida.
Yeah.
But then they had WrestleMania in Florida, but they did have some safety and protocol restrictions in place. I'm not sure. I feel like WWE wants to do it for the for regular TV and events once everything is fully open. I think that's what they're waiting for. But
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like we're ready to fully open yet.
I think we're getting close, but we're not there. And I think, and this is the one thing, going off of other sports with what the Dodgers recently did, that they're going to have special sections for vaccinated people, and you're going to have to show that you've been vaccinated and show your vaccination card, and that
Hmm.
may be a way to allow events to open up. I'm not sure how it would work with wrestling because wrestling, you kind of want to maximize the building.
Right.
Since it's traveling, it's not your home building. You don't really have a home building. So I don't know. I think it would you're gonna see them in Florida, and I think in Florida is where they're gonna have a live venue
Are
first.
we still in a state of emergency right now?
It depends on what state you're in. In
Okay.
California, no, but other states they are. So, but I think Florida and Texas will have the first live events.
I
In
think I think they should probably start with pay-per-view before they do Raw and SmackDown.
I agree with you on that one.
And maybe I think the earliest we'll see it is the fall. I think they want to do it with SummerSlam. SummerSlam might be too early, but we'll see. It's hard. I don't want to like plant my flag on this prediction because this pandemic is just so crazy. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
You know, between mutant strains and whatnot. But I'm just confused. Nick Khan is talking about live fans. Is it just seems like he avoided the investor question about storylines and the roster and new talent completely. But
Yeah,
just
I
corporate doublespeak to me.
exactly. Well, it is. I mean, it's. I'm sure they could go on for hours with all the releases that they've let go, the wrestlers that they've let go over the last 2 years.
Um, so let's see what else. So we had Charlotte Flair. Now Hugo Savinovich, the former WWE commentator, who always seems to be getting some interesting things out of WWE wrestlers, including Andrade. He says WWE held Charlotte Flair off of WrestleMania 37 due to Andrade's release. Do you think that's true? Do you think WWE is that petty?
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, look at their. I mean, look at how they built in the storyline with her getting suspended on this week of this week's Raw.
Okay, that was apparently that business with her getting suspended was apparently she needed dental work done.
Yeah, and what better way than to get suspended? To say and build it into the storyline that she's getting suspended.
So Alex McCarthy with Wrestling Daily said Flair needed to have some dental work that was done, so she won't be gone for long. But that's apparently why they did the indefinite suspension on Raw. And then Hugo Savinovich is telling Wrestling Inc. that Charlotte Flair was kept off of WrestleMania because Andrade asked for his release. So I mean that's just weird because Charlotte is one of their top stars in their women's division, and I've never seen much of Charlotte having problems backstage. So I wonder if this whole Andrade thing is making things awkward for her.
And I'm pretty sure it is. I mean, a lot of the things that he said, and he tried to hold back as much as he possibly could, but a lot of the things that he said really did. It relates back to Charlotte too. I mean, they are together, and you know that they probably talk about this outside of the once they're at home. I mean, it's guilty by association sometimes. So,
Okay, so let's move on to the shows for this week. So any quick hits from Raw for
well, I
you?
was gonna say before we get to the
Okay.
shows, we got one more interesting topic, and that's
Okay.
Daniel Bryan. Is he
Oh.
retiring?
So Daniel Bryan had a very interesting interview this week, bringing it up. So he talked to BT Sport. BT Sport is the UK network for WWE programming. He talked about WrestleMania. When I'm wrestling, I feel everything and I feel like I'm really enjoying it. Like I'm out there and gosh, I'm having fun. This was weird. I was out there and it almost felt like I was detached. I was out there and it was so strange. In fact, before the match, I started getting this weird feeling. I was like, oh no, is this what it's like right before you die? Am I going to die? I mean, well, okay. I was like, if that happens, it happens. It was just a bizarre feeling. I don't know why or how that happened, but it was pretty much like anything I felt while wrestling before. He talked about his WWE contract. My contract is up relatively soon, so I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life. And what else? I'm not a big believer in signs. Most people think of me as this hippy dippy kind of guy because I'm an environmentalist. I'm really not. I really love science and reality based things. So it was interesting. It was maybe like it was a sign that it was time to let go of being a full time wrestler, which is kind of what I've been thinking for a while. When I first started training, Shawn Michaels said the second you don't get nervous right before you go out, that's when you need to retire. I don't necessarily believe that because for a long time I've gotten nervous before I go out. I'm excited because it's fun. But the odd detachment was like, whoa, maybe it's like I said, maybe I'm either going to die or maybe this is just a sign that this isn't the same type of fulfilling thing that it was before. It's interesting. I've been trying to meditate on this and talk to my friends that I'm close with like, hey, what is that? What is Daniel, what is Daniel Bryan even talking about here, Mike? What do you
I
think?
I think he is thinking about walking away. I mean, to be honest, what does he really have to prove anymore?
He main evented he main evented WrestleMania twice. He's been a world champion multiple times at this point. Um,
It's five,
he
right?
has,
That he five championships he's
I
won.
think so.
Yeah,
More than that if you count like the titles he's held outside of WWE.
yeah.
He has two kids. He's a dad now. He's married. He has all that going on. So I'm wondering where I'm not sure where his head is at, but do you feel like this is like a retirement speech, or is he just trying to get a better deal?
I think he's thinking of walking away. One because he does have that injury that he occurred, and
Yeah.
now that he has two kids, I wouldn't be surprised if he's thinking differently, especially with that match with Roman Reigns and Edge. It was a pretty exhausting and brutal match,
Hmm.
and I think that if you walk away from that and if he saw it again, you would wonder like, why am I doing this still? Especially when my kids are still very young. So I think, and he's also, it's like it isn't like he's walking away from WWE completely either, because he'll still be on one of the reality shows. They'll have other things. He'll be still doing something, but I don't think he's going to be back in the ring the way he
Here's
used to.
something else he said. He told Fightful, "My contract is up soon. We need to figure out what's a good balance between home life and wrestling. I never want to stop wrestling. I love it. It's just figuring that out. It'd be interesting if I could wrestle in different companies in WWE. That's something I'm trying to weasel my way into right now." So what is he talking about there? Does he want to go to from WWE to New Japan, or what is going on?
Maybe lighting the schedules, because like that's the one thing that was really good in that AEW has, is that they only work when there's television.
Right.
So it isn't like, so they could go home, live their life, and then go do their job at least once a week, twice a week, once every so often for pay-per-views, and that's it. He doesn't have to be there constantly. I'm sure he's flying from Orlando or Tampa back
I
to
think he lives in
California.
Arizona with Brie
Arizona,
Bella.
yeah.
I
Are they? I thought they moved to San Diego, but that's my
They've moved a lot, I think.
yeah,
I feel like,
yeah. I mean, they're wrestlers. I mean,
yeah,
you move a
you
lot.
got to have a nomadic life as a
Mhm.
wrestler, basically.
And also too, I think knowing if things open up in the WWE schedule, you're on the road a lot. So I think that would be the adjustment, is what he's thinking. How if he get that adjustment.
Here's my other question for you. After what happened with Chris Jericho, would Vince McMahon allow a star like Daniel Bryan to work in other promotions if he was under contract?
That's hard to say. Really hard to say. I would say no, but I don't know how things are over there now. How the corporate culture is there now.
Because Jericho was working a very sort of light, I get to pick my own dates, pick my own schedule, and I can tour whenever I want with my band. Um, Toward the end of his WWE run, then he was still with WWE when he started the New Japan stuff, and then when his contract expired, he signed with AEW. So because that happened, I don't think Vince McMahon would allow the Daniel Bryan to do something similar. But that's just my
Yeah.
theory.
If Vince McMahon was not there and the old guard wasn't there, I think the possibilities
Like if it was
I
Triple
think the
H, I could see maybe him
yeah.
allowing that,
Hmm.
but maybe he would have some more caveats in that type of contract. But sorry, yeah, Vince, I don't see him allowing it just because of what happened with Jericho, and I don't think Vince will want to risk Daniel Bryan appearing on Dynamite at some point.
Yeah, exactly. And I think after, I mean, right now, he doesn't really consider AEW as competition.
Hmm.
So I think if he did allow it, he would. It's almost like allowing them to gain on what he's built. So I don't think it's possible for him.
Okay, so moving on to Raw for this week.
Yeah.
So we talked about commentators earlier, Mauro Ranello. You're not a fan of Pat McAfee. What do you think of the new Raw announcer, Aiden? What is it? Verk?
Yeah,
Aiden Verk.
I'm not keen on him yet. I like him better than Pat
Okay.
McAfee, but I gotta see him a little bit more.
I don't think he knows anything about wrestling.
Yeah, he does. It just seems like he's very green and
Hmm.
doesn't know what a lot of things what he's gotten himself into yet. And I think and I think I think he's relying too much on what's his color man who was on SmackDown.
Corey Graves.
Yeah, Corey Graves. I think he relies on him a lot, and you could tell.
The Riddle, who the week before got destroyed by Bobby Lashley, picked up a win over Randy Orton this week, which is kind of surprising to me. I don't get what they're doing with Riddle.
I still don't, and I don't know what they're doing with Randy Orton either.
Have you heard about like the whole 50-50 booking syndrome?
No, I haven't.
So 50-50, like the 50-50 concept, I guess, is like guys just trading wins and losses. And as a result, no one really gets over and becomes like a big star. And I guess the idea was 15, 20 years ago, you would have a big star and you would keep putting him over, keep having him win over and over, and he become an even bigger star. But now the criticism is that with wrestlers just trading wins and losses every week, no one's really getting over at all or becoming a bigger star. That kind of mindset. So the criticism is, are you 50-50 booking Riddle by like having, okay, first you have him lose back-to-back nights, Sheamus and then Lashley at WrestleMania Raw, and now you have him beat Randy Orton clean on Raw. Like, what is going on there?
Yeah, and then that's the thing I'm trying to figure out because it's like he was a U.S. champion. It
Mm-hmm.
seemed like you were trying to build him up, giving him the belt, give him start getting building some heat on him. He loses the belt, and now he's facing Randy Orton, and it's like, and that's an awkward mess right there. I don't know where. It's hard to tell where the creative is going with that on both sides, on both Randy and Riddle.
Were you shocked by the unmasking of Mason T-Bar?
No, I knew it was gonna happen. I didn't think it was gonna happen this soon, but now that they're working with MVP, I knew it was gonna come sooner than later. But it's just the whole show right now. Ever since after WrestleMania, has there's something missing,
I
and I
think
haven't
I
figured
think
out what
what's
it is.
missing is sort of like that unpredictability that Raw used to have during the Attitude Era, and I think it's just kind of the same people every week.
Mhm.
There's no freshness.
Yeah, and there's no rotation. I noticed that right off the bat. You don't see new
Are they
rest.
still get? But like, okay, so Mason T-Bar are Dominic Dijakovic and Dio Madden. Can they just use their old ring names again? Do we have to keep calling them Mason T-Bar, Mike?
I think not. I think that'd be better using their names that people know. I mean, the whole reason why they used those names was for that gimmick that they did because pretty much that's what it was. It
For
was a
Retribution?
yeah retribution, which was a failed gimmick, and
But they're still
I
they're
don't
still
and they're still using it, which I don't see why. Go back to your normal name. You have them use their normal names. I think it's going to build more heat because it's a relatability factor to NXT. I mean, even when they unmasked them, they didn't really delve into you know who they are, nor did they even mention their names.
okay. And then you had the angle with Charlotte Flair attacking the referee, and now she's indefinitely suspended, so she can have her little vacation, her dental work. Um, I wonder, I wonder if Charlotte's days could be numbered now. You know, do you think Charlotte is gonna not try to wrestle elsewhere, but maybe try to do some other things soon?
I wouldn't be surprised. To be honest, it wouldn't shock me. And it could go either way. It could be in the professional aspect or the personal aspect as well. She is engaged to Andrade,
Right.
so I mean, you don't know what the future is or what their plans are. So professional wise, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think they have a lot. She has a lot of eyeballs on wondering like what is in the front office. I don't
Like,
think
I wonder if she's gonna like start pursuing like acting roles or TV roles, that kind of thing.
she could. I mean, it wouldn't be uncommon.
Because apparently she's doing that Walking Tall movie miniseries for USA Network. So it looks like Hollywood is getting an interest in her. I don't know if it's going to be like a Ronda Rousey type level, but it looks like
Mhm.
it's starting to happen. But I don't
Yeah,
know. I just
maybe
don't know
one
how
day.
much longer Charlotte Flair is going to want to do this, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
and don't forget, you may one day want to have kids as well. Just look at Becky Lynch. I mean,
All right.
and it
Well, you can
I
have kids and still wrestle. But you're going to need to take some time away to do
yeah,
that.
and that's the thing is taking that time. When do you get to say, I'm going to take that time from something like
Mm,
WWE, where I mean, COVID allowed it to take where you can
yeah.
fill time, but in a normal schedule, it's like it's like Ringling Brothers, where you're pretty much performing almost every day.
Yeah, it's a tough grinding life. You really have to love it and have to just sort of give yourself over to it to have a successful career.
Exactly, and a perfect example is that A&E biography with Stone Cold this week
Oh yeah,
on
where he
Sunday.
talked
I mean,
about yep, that was a great documentary.
he laid it all on he laid it all out there that you have to really love it because you're away from your family, you're away from friends. If you want to be one of the top guys, you got to put in that time, and that time means being away from people.
It means like never seeing your family or kids at all. So
Exactly.
so if you're a dad and you have young kids, it's going to be hard.
And that may relate back to Daniel
Daniel
Bryan.
Bryan, because now he's a dad and has two small children. And I mean, like, he was, one of the top stars in the world on the indie scene, and that was before he was married and has kids. So now, I can definitely understand how having kids and getting married, that can change you,
Yeah, and I
and it's
think
hard
that
to
will be,
yeah.
and I will think that's what Charlotte is thinking too is the long term outside of wrestling.
And Rick, and you know what? Remember Ricky Steamboat?
Hmm.
Remember the reason Vince took the Intercontinental title for him off of him after WrestleMania 3 when he beat Randy Savage is because Ricky said his wife was about to have a baby. And he said, Vince, can I have a little time off so I can be with my wife when my kid is born? And Vince was like, no, you're the champion. I need you on TV. I need you on TV every week. I need you traveling day in and day out. And like, no, give me the belt back. And then they gave it to Honky Tonk Man.
Hmm. Yep.
So this was
Well
back.
said.
This was all the way back in 1987. So yeah, it goes back decades,
And
decades.
and I and that mentality that's there, I don't think changes.
Okay. So NXT on Tuesday night, it seems we're seeing more Imperium, more Walter. Walter once said he never wants to move or live in the US, but do you think he's still serious about that?
Oh, if the money's right, he'll move to the US. And if the opportunity's there, he may say that now, but if there's an opportunity to grow and really become a bigger name in the business, I think he would.
I think if you had Walter on the main WWE roster, he wouldn't have to be he there every week. I feel like you could use him like a Brock Lesnar, don't
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah, I agree with you.
And he's talked about working like a Brock Lesnar, wanting to work a Brock Lesnar type schedule. So I feel like that could work. I just can't think you have a talent like Walter. And I think Walter is a singular, like unique talent. Can you really keep him on NXT forever? I don't think so.
You can't. You can't. He's too good of a talent. And he's somebody who get over. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him up. Like if everything works out, but by
Right.
the end of this year, beginning of next year, you see Walter on the main roster.
Because he used to just be NXT UK.
Hmm.
Now he's on NXT US. So I feel like
And it's been pretty fast. His
I
appearances and his
I
physical
I
stuff.
think he I think when I look at him, I just see money, and I feel like you got to see him in a WrestleMania contest at some point down
And
the
if
line.
you're and as much as they say they don't worry about AEW or any other promotion, I think they have it on the back of their mind. You need to bring up these guys to give them a feature spot into the main card. If not, you wind up being stale and you wind up being the same thing over and over again. And I think people want more.
I just fear how Vince would book or Bruce Pritchard would book Walter on the main roster. I would want Triple H to be in charge of Walter,
Yeah,
whatever happens.
same here. I think Triple H and Shawn Michaels have done an amazing job with NXT and their talent,
Yeah.
and I think it's time to
I
to
think
reach
you can
out
say a
to them.
lot. I think you can say a lot about Triple H and Shawn Michaels and like what they've done in the past, but they've clearly done a good job in NXT, and they've clearly invested a lot of time and passion into NXT and helping those guys, but also creating, I think, a product that I think is closer to what a hardcore wrestling fan like wants out of like sports entertainment when you think like a more mainstream TV based wrestling product, but also still has that kind of, as JR would say, the sizzle on the steak
Mhm.
kind of thing. The wrestling is the steak, and the production and the promotion is the sizzle.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Well,
NXT has a better balance of that.
exactly, and I think that's what I wouldn't be surprised if Fox looks at NXT and then looks at the what they got with SmackDown. Because remember, when they put
Mm.
the money to air SmackDown on Fox, they wanted less talk and more wrestling. NXT's less talk and more wrestling, where SmackDown is it was starting out like that, but then it became like more talk and less wrestling
Hmm. Well,
as the time went on.
They did just re up with USA
Yeah,
for the two, and the numbers are going up on Tuesday night for NXT, which is good because now they don't have to worry about competing with AEW.
exactly.
Uh, Elsewhere, Kushida beat Oni Lorcan, and now Kushida is going to have an open challenge for the cruiserweight title. I'm happy for Kushida. He's a great wrestler. I think this is just kind of where I feel like this will be his peak
Hmm.
in the WWE.
Me too.
Grizzled young veterans beat Breezango. Kyle O'Reilly came back, so we have Kyle O'Reilly coming back and beating Cameron Grimes. So it looks like they're keeping Kyle O'Reilly in there in the main event mix, in the title mix, and it looks like he'll be mixing it up with Karrion Cross, and that'll be Karrion Cross next matchup. Do you like that idea?
I like it. I like the way
Okay.
they did it. Him walking out and them seeing eye to eye before he went out to the ring. It'd be something I would want to see. I don't know if it's a
Uh,
big pay per view type of match, but I would want to see it.
any other takeaways from NXT for you this week?
Not really. It was I guess Kyle O'Reilly was that was probably the biggest thing for me.
Okay, I thought Dynamite was one of my more favorite Dynamites in a while last night.
I agree.
You had two great title matches. Great main event: Darby Allen versus Jungle Boy,
Mhm.
and Hikaru Shida versus Tay Conti. Now, there have been, I think, some valid criticisms on the AEW women's division, but I feel Shida and Tay Conti had a great match
Yeah,
this week. That was
it
a
was
great title
good.
match.
It was a really good match. I was hoping for Tay Conti, but I knew she was gonna Sheeta was gonna keep the belt. And but it was so exciting. It was well worth watching. It pulled you into the match and it pulled you into the story.
Okay, and then we had the setup with Britt Baker.
Hmm.
So it looks like they're going to go right from Shida to feuding with Britt Baker next, hopefully for the title. What do you think of Dr. Britt Baker? Do you think she's a real role model?
Well, as a person who became a dentist and a wrestler, yes.
Okay.
And it's not just the work. She's an actual dentist.
Yes.
But but and I think that's a role
Yes.
model right there.
It's not a gimmick. She is an actual dentist.
Exactly. And but I like that. I want to see her get into that title picture. She's put up the matches. She knows and shown. for the last year what she could do, especially. I mean, she has been that women's division during COVID. Her,
I
Thunder Rosa, because I mean, those
Serena
are,
Deeb.
yeah. I mean, it's developing into something and it's growing. I think if I won't be surprised if Britt Baker gets the belt.
All right. So here's my thought was since Sheeta beat Conti this week, when Double or Nothing rolls around, and I think that's going to be next month, Sheeta versus Dr. Britt Baker, that's where Britt Baker wins the belt. What do you think about that?
I think that's perfect. I think that's where it's going to happen. And I think that Britt Baker is going to hold the belt for some time, and then you're going to see Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker down the line.
So we had our main event, another great match, Darby Allen versus Jungle Boy. I think these two guys are like the future of the business, or maybe they're the present, but these are the two. To me, these are the guys you can brand AEW around. Like these are the guys you can get in AEW that you're not going to see anywhere else. And so they had a great match for the TNT title. Love that match. Fantastic. Darby Allen won.
Even
I
though
almost thought Jungle Boy was going to pull it out, but what
see,
did you
that's
think?
the same thing with me. I thought Jungle Boy was going to win this match, and it would have been a good thing, have him win a title, say it's for his dad and stuff. I was thinking that storyline, but then I saw that what does he call that move, the Last Supper,
Yes.
and I was like, okay, dad, that's it.
I like that Darby like produces his own promos
Hmm.
and he just posts them on Twitter. And before the match, he posted this Twitter talking about how phony everyone in wrestling is. And he's like, Jungle Boy, I want you to leave the smile at home and I want you to flip the switch tonight. And I thought that was so cool.
Yeah,
Um, I like Darby because he, you know, again, he marches to the beat of his own drum and he brings his own style to the wrestling game. And I think that's great.
yeah, I agree. I like Darby Allen. I love Jungle Boy. I think both of them are very exciting, even to the point like, for example, like my sister doesn't even really watch wrestling or AEW the way, but she knew who Jungle Boy was. She knows who Darby Allen is. When you get people who don't know about wrestling or knowing who they got something.
Yeah, they've got it factor.
Hmm. Exactly.
So now they're also doing the hard sell for Blood and Guts. So Blood and Guts was originally going to be kind of like a War Games type concept they were going to have last year. And now it looks like they're going to have it in on the May 5th Dynamite. Dave Meltzer with Wrestling Observer says the whole May 5th is just going to be a Blood and Guts match. So it's going to be a one match show with just the Blood and Guts match for that edition of Dynamite.
And what better way to celebrate Cinco de Mayo than
Yeah.
Blood and Guts?
So do you think Cinco de Mayo, do you think that's going to affect Blood and Guts, or like what do you think is going to happen there?
I don't know how it could affect it other than the fact that I'm probably gonna make carne asada for this match.
Well,
But
yeah.
but I'm looking forward to it. And the way they're talking about it being a long, drawn out match, I think this is gonna be awesome. I don't know if you caught this during the promo yesterday for
Yeah.
this when, when Hager got the straws out and said, pretty much just told him, "You're gonna be sucking your own meat through the straw." And Chris Jericho looks like it was such a and it made me laugh because you could tell the guys it caught him off guard.
Like he didn't know he was going to do that.
Yeah, and it was just like it just made the promo. I mean, the whenever the Pinnacle comes out, it just makes it so much fun, and Jericho makes it fun, and the guys make it fun. So I'm looking forward to this next on May 5th.
I will say they are doing a great job of building this match up and because it's been a couple months they've been setting this up,
Mhm.
and next week they're doing a parlay, a parlay, whatever that's supposed to be. So they have one more week with the parlay, and then the match will be the following week. And it looks like so, and then the whole show is going to be just this Blood and Guts match. So
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good. It's going to be a bloody and gutsy Cinco de Mayo,
And they're not
basically.
scared to pull what they have to pull. We've already seen it.
I
I'm
just
just
hope.
hoping it's not going to be a dud like
Oh,
a late
the death match with the
yeah,
sparklers and the bad fireworks. So
yeah, just like
I just hope no one gets seriously whatever they plan. I hope no one gets seriously hurt.
oh,
But
I know.
but I'm still curious what this match is even supposed to be. I guess it's going to have a giant cage and
Yeah, it's going to have that giant cage with
the two
the two
rings.
rings. Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of like war. So that's kind of like War Games. So I assume it'll have a roof. That's the thing I didn't like about the NXT version of War Games is because there was no roof. Like
Yeah.
that's the whole point of War Games. You're locked in. You're locked in, and you can't get out. Like there's nowhere you can't go over the roof. You can't climb out. You're stuck in there, and you have to deal with all the carnage,
Yeah.
basically. But I am curious to see how that turns out.
It's going to
So
be
next
interesting.
week, they're going to have Young Bucks versus Matt and Mike Seidel. Penta El Zero Miedo versus Orange Cassidy. I like that matchup. Chris
It's not Orange
Statlander,
Cassidy. Isn't he? Is it Trent?
huh?
Wasn't it? Is it Orange Cassidy or was it Trent?
Uh, the graphic says Orange Cassidy
Oh, okay.
with Trent. Like, will Trent be there?
Yeah.
It says with Trent. Chris
Okay.
Statlander versus Penelope Ford, and Nightmare Family versus the Factory, and Brian Cage versus Hangman Page. So,
Mhm.
um, this is good because I like this because they're rotating the talent around. So
Mhm.
next week we're gonna get a fresh set of talent, and then the following week is blood and guts. So I feel like they were struggling a little bit, I think, during that whole WrestleMania season, but I feel like now they're kind of getting a better sense of what they need to be doing this spring and this summer in AEW.
Mhm. I agree completely.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this week's shows?
I do have one. I caught Impact
Oh yeah.
yesterday on Tuesday, and it was a very interesting Impact special, like type of thing. A look at the two promotions working together, and how some people like how they sold it. That some people like it, but Tommy Dreamer was giving the warnings like this has never worked, and it's never come out the way you hope it
Mm.
does. Which was very fascinating to me that they're doing that angle with Tommy. And it's not a bad angle to work too, because I mean, every time something like this happens, it's always been like with WWE and other
Like how do
companies.
you
And
do something like this without feelings being hurt and with it working out for everybody?
yeah,
So cuz I guess in WWE they bought WCW and
hmm
they had the invasion angle and it was a load of garbage.
yeah,
No one was really happy with
hmm
how that turned out. Like everyone thought like this is the one storyline that Vince McMahon cannot do wrong, that he can't screw up. And what did they do?
they
They
screwed
screwed
it
it
up.
up.
And that's something Tommy Dreamer brought up was the fact that talking about how when Taz was signed to WWE, wrestling in ECW
Yeah.
against Tommy Dreamer and other wrestlers there, and that he was bringing up a lot of old things, which kind of makes sense because it's the whole thing of a buyout. What is this the future and landings of a buyout? He didn't say it. He kind of implemented it, and that's when the buyout
Mm.
happens, and it affects a lot of the wrestlers
My
in the
thought on
future.
that is I don't think AEW is going to want to buy out Impact because Anthem Sports and Entertainment, they own Impact now, and they have controlling interest in Access TV,
Yeah.
so they own their own network now. But I am curious to see how much longer they can keep the AEW Impact thing going
Mhm.
with everyone being okay with it. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. It was just interesting. It was really fascinating to watch and how.
I guess I think the pandemic was a
Mhm.
big reason for why this happened.
Yeah.
And I guess I wonder what it's going to look like once we are back to normal to some degree and the pandemic is actually over. will this angle still continue?
It'll be interesting to see because like and it would kind of and if you're one of the wrestlers when during this angle was going on and you see AEW returning to stadiums, doing live shows in stadiums, and your Impact and part of the Impact stable doing them at small little casinos or like in Vegas at Sam's Town is where they were doing a lot of their shoots. I mean, it's kind of like, well, where's the benefit? And it's something that Tommy Dreamer brought up is where's the benefit for us? It seems like the benefit's all for them and not for us.
I don't if well, the benefit is you have Kenny Omega, their top star, is appearing on their show. He's wrestling for their title. And the other benefit is this angle has given Impact its best numbers ever on Access TV.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And then what happens if Kenny Omega wins both belts?
I think he
Or Red
is.
Swan wins both belts.
I
I think
think
Kenny Omega is going to win both
I
belts
think Omega is going to win the Impact title on Sunday. Or wait, what day
Saturday.
is it? On Saturday?
Saturday.
Yeah. I think he's going to win the title
Hmm.
at Rebellion.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be interesting to see what happens if he does win either one. Whoever wins, what is that going to look like in the
I
future?
I think it will continue to go okay at least until the pandemic is over, which
Yeah,
who knows when that's going to happen.
exactly.
That's just my theory though, because so far they've done okay because they had Private Party
Mhm.
wrestle the Good Brothers, and then they had Juice Robinson and Finlay beat the Good Brothers and won the titles from New Japan. So they're doing stuff with New Japan now too,
Yeah.
and they're
Well,
doing. And then they had Kenta show up and beat up John Moxley in AEW. So it seems like it seems like things are working out better where they called it the forbidden door and now they can move beyond the forbidden door and work together.
mhm.
So what I want to see though is once you can start touring again, they should co-promote
Yeah.
is what I think they should do. And that I think that can only help Impact personally.
See, I would like to see like that the G was it the Super G tour or whatever in New
The
Japan
G
have the
uh
G1,
yeah, the G1.
G1 and have it include Impact and AEW and then New Japan Wrestling and have that like a real
G1
staked
climax, the
action.
G1 climax.
Yeah.
They could make an interpromotional like round robin G1. They
Mhm.
totally could.
Yeah, and I think that would be exciting. You'll see wrestlers that you normally wouldn't see. And hey, New Japan got Madison Square Garden for that G1 climax.
For the G1 Supercard, and they did it with,
Yeah.
but they co-promoted that show with Ring of Honor.
Hmm.
So Ring of Honor and New Japan, they did that show together, and they sold out
Yeah.
the Madison Square Garden for a
Yeah.
non WWE show.
Yeah. And imagine if you do AEW, Impact, New Japan, even let's throw in Ring of Honor and let's see what happens. It would literally sell out within seconds.
Because if you can get aside the egos and the feelings and all that, you can make money. You know,
I agree.
and I feel like after the pandemic, after getting through that, promotions should be willing to put their egos aside to work together to make some money again because they're going to need it
Yeah.
after everything we've been through. They're going to need to get some cash flow and quick in there, and that is something that no other promotion can offer is co-promotion, interpromotional bouts, crossover matches, crossover dream matches. That's not something WWE does every week. It just isn't.
Yeah.
People are complacent with WWE. WWE is stagnant. So here you go. You can mix it up with my guys against your guys. You can make money that way. I don't
Exactly.
see why not. That's what they used to do in the territory days.
Yeah. And it's more than just selling like a Mickey James shirt. I don't know if you saw that new shirt, but it's more than just selling that Mickey James shirt or any other type of shirt. But you're getting revenue and you're getting real revenue,
Right.
which is good.
Did you see what happened to Mickey James? That tweet she
Y-
posted?
Yeah, that's the one I brought up because I
Oh boy.
I laughed when I saw this the shirts. I thought it was awesome, but and true, but yeah,
Why would you send her your stuff in a garbage bag? Like seriously.
I don't know. That just seems. I was shocked when I saw that.
Okay, so one other thing I wanted to bring up, AEW Dynamite. So last week the show did 1.2 million viewers, the show with Mike Tyson. This week's show did 1.1. So this was their third largest audience ever. Their rating was a 0.37. It is their second highest rating in 2021 so far. So, but the audience number was their third largest audience to date. Last week was the second.
Yeah,
So good. So still doing good numbers now that they're not running against NXT this week.
exactly, and it's. I think it's going to continue. I think this isn't just the. This isn't just the beginning.
I'll be curious to see what they do with Dynamite because one, that I mean, that is a holiday,
Hmm.
and two, it's going to be like that really long 2 hour blood and guts match. So I'm curious to see how our people are going to tune in for that because they've been hard selling that match a lot.
Yeah, they have,
Okay.
and I think it's gonna. You see it in ratings. It's really so.
Okay, so I think that that's about enough for this week, unless you have any other items you wanted to go over.
Nah, I was trying to put that name because it was. I was laughing so hard when I saw it, and I'm trying to bring it up right now.
The
Yeah,
shirt.
yeah. I don't know if you saw the shirt that she was gonna sell, and she was pushing WWE to try and get the shirt sold, and it was. Oh, here it is. Literally, it was Monday Night MILF was the shirt she was trying to
Oh,
push,
I don't this shirt I haven't seen yet.
and MILF money. I guess they're selling it now. You can
I
buy that
mean,
shirt now on prowrestlingtees.com.
oh, she got this shirt out right after she got released, huh?
Yes,
Oh God. It's only 1999.
exactly.
If you're a Mickey James fan and you want to support Mickey James, you can go to Pro Wrestling Tees right now, and it's an official Mickey James shirt. You know, it's not. Uh,
It's
hey,
not
good for
something that
Mickey
was
James.
done.
Look, you got it. Look, you got to hustle and make that paper,
I
especially
agree.
now that you don't get the WWE money anymore. You got to hustle somehow, right, Mike?
I agree. You got to do what you got to do, and if you have the opportunity and you have the shirt, might as well do it.
There's another
I'm actually
there was
bringing it.
another there's another really good shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. Did you see the Sammy one?
No, I didn't. Oh yes, I saw it because was it who showed it? Which I saw it on one of the Instagram channels from one of the
So
wrestlers.
so if anyone remembers
Becky
this,
Lynch. Becky Lynch had the shirt.
right? So Sami Zayn when he did the dance on SmackDown, that really just crazy funny dance. So now Pro Wrestling Tees has a shirt commemorating the dance for Sami Zayn, and it is for a good cause. On Pro Wrestling Tees, all profits are donated to SammyForSeria.com. We are not sponsored by Pro Wrestling Tees. I just wanted to talk about that because it is a cool shirt and it is for a good cause. So if you want a
Exactly.
dancing Sami Zayn shirt, you can go to Pro Wrestling Tees right now and get it.
Exactly. We're not sponsored or any way, but if they like to sponsor us, I'm not going to say no. But
I think Pro Wrestling Tees is a great website. And
yeah,
yeah,
and
there you go.
here we go. Here is the shirt.
So she wanted WWE to sell these shirts, but they weren't interested.
Yeah, they weren't.
Oh
I
my
guess
God.
they weren't interested. But hey,
Hey, good for you. Good for you,
if you
Mickey
still
James.
got it, might as well show it. That's what I
She's a legend, a future Hall of Famer, and she is a mom. So good for her.
exactly. And you know what? And I bet you these shirts are going to sell.
Yeah,
I am not
I can
shocked.
see why. I can see why TVPG WWE probably did not want to sell
Oh,
those shirts.
exactly. But we had to bring it up here because to me, it was just funny that a week after being released, these shirts come out, and or maybe it could have been a little sooner, but I just caught it like in the last couple days, and it's good for Mickey James.
Yeah,
That's all
I
I'll
mean,
say. Good for Mickey James.
you got to do your business, and Pro Wrestling Tees is good about, getting wrestlers merch and getting it available so they can make some money,
Hmm.
cuz
Yeah,
they don't have the WWE train anymore.
exactly. And at least I'm sure she's gonna get some good money off of it, and I think it's great. Way to go, Mickey James! In order to take back a little bit of what happened with the
There
WWE.
you go. But I still feel bad for her about that thing she tweeted of getting her stuff from WWE in a garbage bag. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
that's ridiculous. Come on, she's you're gonna eventually give her a Hall of Fame
Exactly.
spot.
She's a former women's
Treat her with
champion,
respect.
future Hall of Famer. Come on.
Yeah, treat her with some respect because it's like to have just your stuff in a garbage bag sent to you in a box. I mean, I think she's earned and done enough for your company to be treated with a little more respect to let her come in and get her equipment.
Okay, so a couple plugs I want to do. If you go to 411mania.com slash movies right now, you can check out my official review of Mortal Kombat, due out on HBO Max and theaters tomorrow. So you can check out my review for that. Next week for 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast, I am scheduled to interview the producer and director of Dark Side of the Ring, Evan Husney and Jason Eisner. So we will be doing an interview for 411mania.com slash wrestling, and it will be available on the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. So if you go to the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify, that is where the interview will be. I have interviewed these gentlemen before. The docu-series Dark Side of the Ring premieres next month on Vice TV. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And we will be talking about the upcoming third season. It is the highest rated show on Vice TV, and I'm very excited about this.
I need to
Season
catch.
premiere is going to be Brian Pillman,
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Flying Brian.
That's gonna be
The
good because I like those little behind the scenes stories. I mean, that's why I watch Sunday A&E Stone Cold, and
and
this Sunday is A&E's Roddy Piper.
and Brian Pillman, his the ending to his career was very tragic, but he was a trailblazer.
Yeah.
He was in the ring, and just in terms of his mic skills, his promo skills, like there was no one else like Brian Pillman. So
Hmm.
I'm glad that I hope this documentary will be an interesting look at his life and career and really kind of showcase just sort of how groundbreaking his character and his in-ring ability was.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean him and Steve Austin back in
The Hollywood
WCW
Blondes.
and Hollywood
Yep.
Blondes. That was, I mean, those were some good tag team days, and it's going to be a good series. That good way to open the series season.
I think what's most important, I think Brian Pillman also brought sort of the cruiserweight, sort of light heavyweight, junior heavyweight style to the US with Jushin Liger. So
Mhm.
I hope we're going to get a look at that as well. So those are the things that I have going on next week.
Awesome, awesome. And you could always check out MUSE TV for everything that you can see in sports, entertainment, tech. We're gonna be doing some reviews pretty soon. We got a lot. We got a lot changing within Muse because next year's our 10th anniversary, so we're trying to mix it up a little bit, make it better for everybody here. And just stay tuned to musetv.net. We got a lot going on. And I just left. I guess Jeffrey just got out. So I guess I'll end the show with this. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I just Hey,
Sorry
there you
about
go. I
that.
thought you had like an important call or something or
No, I accidentally I pressed I clicked the thing. Technical issue.
okay. Well, it happens, but hey, we're already towards the end anyway. But thank you so much for being a part of this and watching. Everything is going to be going up to podcast soon. I know we're going to do it last week. It's it's been a little crazy lately, but we're going to get it up as soon as we can to a podcast format that you like. And we'll see you soon. We'll be back here next week for another week. In this week in pro wrestling, we'll see you soon.
Thank you, everybody.